Thank you for checking out Real Talk Personal Finance. Shit's about to get real. Cash Flow King with you today. And today in episode 67, we just got some random quick topics. That's right, just some random shit. Thanks so much for tuning into the show. Today is Saturday, December 9th. I randomly decided to record a podcast this morning. Quite frankly, I was just thinking about the podcast, and one of my goals for 2024 for the show is to be more consistent. And I'm not sure if I've said that on here previously, but I really want to do a good job for you guys. And I know life gets busy and things are happening. And the way that we've historically done this show is kind of, at most, I'd say we've had 1, 2, maybe 3 episodes in the holster. And then we have a tendency to release those. Sometimes they're bunched together. And then maybe 2 or 3 weeks would go by, possibly more, and we wouldn't have a show. And then all of a sudden we would do a show 1 week, record it, put it out. And then the next week we might record a show again, put it out, and then there might be a lapse in time. And I know even as a podcast listener myself, one of the things that I really like and sort of, I don't want to say count on, but I know of the shows that I listen to, for the most part, these shows come out on Monday. This show always comes out on a Tuesday. And I want to get into some sort of predictable cadence for you guys in 2024. So no promises, but that is one of my goals, and I really would like your help in making that happen. So one of the things that I'm going to ask everybody to do, if you wouldn't mind, is to email the show, realtalkpersonalfinance@gmail.com, realtalkpersonalfinance@gmail.com. And if you have any show ideas or topics that you're interested in, things that you would like us to do a deeper dive on, we're happy to explore that. I can't promise that we're actually going to do those topics, but it will definitely be taken into consideration. We've gotten some different feedback from folks. In fact, on the last premium newsletter that went out for our premium subscribers, I had one of our premium subscribers write in, and this was a first, and they were somewhat offended by some of the things that were said in the letter. I'm going to put that one on Cube Crusher. So I did pass the feedback along to him, and we had some colorful debate about it, but that will be taken into consideration going forward. The idea behind the show is to educate and to entertain, obviously, but sometimes when things are said or things are written, you might not be thinking about how other people might take that. And usually the way that we do things and the things that we say are fairly general in nature, and I don't think would evoke that type of reaction, quite frankly. But in this particular instance, it did. And looking back at the newsletter, we were kind of in a rush to put it out. And I read back through it, and I kind of realized why. So we will try to make some modifications there. For those of you that are premium subscribers and got the last quarterly e-newsletter, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So anyway, we're always open to feedback. In this particular instance, I would like to solicit some feedback for show ideas. I know I've done that in the past, but coming into December, for a lot of people, things tend to slow down a little bit. It's a good time for all of us to reflect on the past year that we've had, the upcoming year that we're going to have, some things that went well, some things that didn't go well. I know there's quite a bit of goal setting that goes on. I know Friday night at our house, one of the things that we did last night was update one of our financial spreadsheets going into 2024. We tweaked some things, and I know that probably sounds riveting to many of you, but everybody's thinking about different things, right? Whether it's the holidays or holiday shopping or whatever, but hopefully there's some time in there between this time of year in December and coming into January for people to pause and reflect and, think about the way they want things structured going forward. So in an effort to do that for this show, I would like to just put this out today that we would greatly appreciate any topics of interest that you guys might have, even if it's a show that we've already done. And maybe, I know there were several shows that were recorded where I said, well, maybe we'll do an advanced or an expert episode on this, or maybe we'll come back to that, or we'll do a show on this. And in some cases, we probably have done that, quite frankly. In other cases, we probably haven't. And so if there's a show that maybe you heard and we said we were going to do something and go deeper and we haven't, feel free to bring that to our attention and we'll take a look at it. Really want to try to make this show better for everybody and, again, have some sort of consistency. I haven't figured out exactly what the publishing schedule is going to be. I'm hoping to decide that in the coming weeks, and we'll probably put an announcement out there when we do our drawing towards the end of this month, or at the very least at the beginning of January going into 2024, or when 2024 kicks off, on what day of the week I'm going to release shows for 2024. I think that will be helpful to us, to me, to put me on some sort of a predictable schedule, and also for all of you that may be listening to multiple podcasts, you know when the Real Talk Personal Finance show is going to launch. I think it's kind of cool that it's a nice surprise, but I did have, folks that had said to me early on, you really should have some sort of predictable schedule and, for accountability and whatnot. And it kind of went, I don't want to say it went in one ear and out the other. I did consider it, but it was one of those things where I didn't want this to feel like a job, and I still don't, right? I want to do this and have fun with it and, bring some, again, education and entertainment to you guys. But at the same time, I think it would be good to have some sort of structure. So that's what we're looking at for 2024. So again, please email the show, realtalkpersonalfinance@gmail.com, if there's any topics or things that you want to hear about. Please don't send a laundry list, but if you want to limit it to anywhere from 1 to 5, we'd be happy to take a look at those and take those into consideration. And if we do a show with one of your topics, perhaps we'll give you a shout out on that particular episode. So today, in episode 67, I want to just go through some random quick topics. There are different things that I was thinking about, like, I should put a podcast out about this, or, I should put a podcast out about that. And they're just these little random things that on their own probably don't warrant a full podcast. And so I thought I'd just bunch them together and just rattle off some shit today. So that's kind of what I'm doing. Before I do that, I want to give a quick shout out to our 38th country listening to the show. We now have listeners in Egypt. So thank you to everybody out in Egypt listening to the Real Talk Personal Finance podcast. We truly appreciate your listenership and support. So thanks very much. All right. So first up, if you haven't gone back, I believe it was, let me see if I can find it. I think it was 2 episodes ago, if memory serves. Let's go over here to episodes real quick. Yeah. It was the one put out on November 19th called Southwest Companion Pass. I urge you, if you have any interest in flying within the United States, and they do some flights out of the United States, but if you fly Southwest at all or have any interest in flying Southwest at all, and you want to save some money on your air travel, I would urge you to listen to the Southwest Companion Pass episode. It's a good one, and there's lots of great information in there. You want to pay attention when you're listening to it. I actually had a premium subscriber call me this week at like 8:30 in the morning. This is somebody that I know personally, so it's no big deal. But we had a conversation, and basically I said, hey, did you listen to that show? And he's like, yeah, I did, but I was probably in the zone, and I need to go back and listen to it again because I probably wasn't, listening for specifics, because there are some deadlines and some things that you need to take into consideration. But it's a great way to get a companion pass, which again, for those that don't know, spoiler alert, it's essentially buy one, get one free flights for up to 2 years. No blackouts, no restrictions, no nonsense. I won't rehash the episode, but go back and check that out if you haven't. So that was done on November 19th. If this is episode 67, that would be episode 65. So just a couple episodes back. Feel free to go ahead and check that out. What I'm going to do right now is just give you a quick update. So I'm assuming at this point that everybody has listened to that show already. If you haven't, this may or may not make a ton of sense to you. But one of the things I talked about was the 2 different business credit cards and why I was going to get one over the other. And it was the one with the lower annual fee that I was going to get, and it had a lower spending requirement. And that was my intention at the time, just so everybody knows. In full disclosure, that's actually not the card that I got. I ended up getting the other one, the Performance Business Card, which has a slightly higher annual fee. And the reason I did that, just the way that things came together and really trying to map this out for next year, was that I've been waiting for it, and I never thought I'd be so happy to get a bill like this, but I had a turnover in one of my rentals, and their billing, they're great in terms of getting things done very quickly, but their billing department, for whatever reason, is usually pretty backed up, and I can understand that to an extent. They do manage several thousand houses, and they have a couple of, small multifamily duplexes in there, but mostly single-family homes, and it was like 3 months had gone by. I had a turnover. They got it turned really quick. They got it re-rented for a much higher rental rate. And all of a sudden, I've been waiting. And finally, I'm starting to think, like, are they just not going to charge me for that turnover? Like, what the hell's going on? and I saw a bill pop up for it. So I immediately contacted the property management company and said, hey, if possible, I'd like to go ahead and pay this with a credit card. I explained the situation, trying to get my companion pass. There's a bunch of younger folks that work there. They get it. So they said, yeah, no problem. They had already deducted it from the rent. So they went ahead and gave me a bill credit back. I was able to go ahead and get the card, fill out their authorization form to go ahead and charge that card one time, put the cost of the Get Ready on there, and everything is all good. The reason I bring this up is the spending requirement on that particular business card is $5,000, and the turnover bill that I had was a little over $4,000 for this particular property. So had I gone with the original business card I was thinking about getting, and I put that charge on there, I would have immediately hit the bonus point requirement, the spending requirement to get the bonus points, which is good. But again, if you go back and listen to the episode, you don't want those points to post in December. You want all those points to post as early as possible in the next year, in this case, January of 2024. So that's what prompted me to get the other card that had a slightly higher spending threshold so that I could go ahead and put the entire Get Ready on there, be pretty close, within several $100s of meeting that $5,000, but not there yet, and then put that card aside and hit the rest of it in early 2024. So that's just a quick update on that. The other thing I want to say about the Southwest cards, there is a link in episode 65 to get a Southwest card. I got an email the other day, and by the way, I'm just kind of rambling right now, but I think this is useful information, and this is kind of a quick glimpse into some of the stuff that we talk about in the premium episodes as far as timing goes, and I send out Cashflow Kings favorites with links and different types of accounts. I'm just going to put this on the general podcast today. There's a few things I'm going to talk about that normally I wouldn't put out like this, but I'm going to do it. And I think the email said that at 7 a.m. on the 11th, which is December 11th is a Monday, they're going to end the 75,000 bonus points offer on a personal Southwest card. And so you still have a little bit of time, depending on when you're listening to this, if you're interested in getting that. And initially, when we put the referral link in the show notes on episode 65, you could use the referral link and still get the 75,000 bonus points towards your companion pass. I just want to give everybody a heads up and full disclosure. I went to test the link this morning, and for whatever reason, it said the offer has changed, and they're only now offering 50,000 bonus points if you use the link. So as much as it pains me to say this, I went to Chase directly without going through the referral links and went to the Southwest cards, and it looks like they are still offering the 75,000 bonus points, at least right now, at the time of this recording, for the personal card. However, it appears as though you will not be able to get that if you use the referral link. So you could get it no matter how you applied up until recently, and now it appears as though you may have to go directly to chase.com, click on credit cards, click on Southwest, and apply that way. The show won't get anything for that, and so it is what it is, but we want you to get the best deal. You should still be able to get the 75,000 bonus points if you go through there and you do that before the Monday, December 11th at 7 a.m. I don't know if they're going to extend it. I don't know what the offer is going to be after that. Who the hell knows? It could go up to 80,000 points for all I know. I don't work for Chase. I have no clue what they're going to do. But if you listened to the Southwest Companion Pass episode and you're really interested in getting Companion Pass, I would absolutely take advantage of the offer. I just got my personal card. Believe it or not, it took forever. I got my personal card in yesterday, and then I had them priority ship my business card so I could get that Get Ready bill taken care of, and I already went ahead and started the spending on that. So I now have both cards in my possession, the priority card on the personal side and the performance business card on the business side. I expect fully by the first couple weeks of January that those will meet the requirements to go ahead and get Companion Pass. And by the way, like I said, we're not spending money on stuff we wouldn't buy anyway, right? It was a turnover I had to pay for. It's either going to get deducted from the rents or I throw it on the card and then use the rents to pay it off, right? No big deal. It's the same thing. And then on the personal card, unfortunately, I got some car repairs coming up. I'm actually bringing it in next week for that. And that's going to get me a good portion of the way there on the personal card. So again, you're not going out and buying shit you don't need. You're just using it for expenses you have anyway and channeling them strategically on these cards. More information, go ahead and listen to episode 65. All right. Another thing I came across on one of the other podcasts that I listened to is, and these have been out there forever, but I guess there's different types of buying groups that are out there, and there's one in particular that is a gift card buying group. So if you're one of those people that's listening to this and you're like, I'm not going to fucking hit $3,000 of personal expenses or $5,000 of business expenses or whatever, and you are still interested in possibly trying to hit these spending requirements, one thing you might want to consider, and I've kind of poked around with it a little bit, are certain types of buying groups. There's this gift card. You can email the show. I don't want to put this out there because I'm still checking them out and doing my due diligence on them, but I did get accepted into, and it's free, but I did get accepted into their little group chat and shit like that. And they post different deals. And the gist of it is you go ahead with your cards that you may need to hit spending on that you maybe don't have the personal spend to meet on your own. So maybe you're not going to spend $3,000 on something within the time frame you need to, but you still want to get a bonus on a card. You can check out groups like this that will put out different deals when different stores and vendors and retailers are having sales on their gift cards in certain denominations. If you buy those, groups like this they have like a reservation sheet, and you can fill out your information on it, and they will essentially buy those cards back from you for a certain price. So for example, let's say you bought a gift card in a certain increment at 10% off because they were running a promotion. And this is an interesting time of year where a lot of these places are running promotions. You could go ahead and go to the store and buy those gift cards at 10% off. You're going to get the credit card points or meet the minimum spending requirements or whatever you're trying to do on your credit card. You get to keep that for yourself. But then if you don't actually need whatever it is, $500 to ABC retailer, you turn around and sell those cards back to groups like this, and they might buy it from you for the same 10% off that you bought it for. They might buy it from you for 9% off, so you're actually making 1%. They might buy it from you for a little bit less, and you have to decide if the points that you're getting are worth it. And usually they're going to be only if you're trying to get a big sign-up bonus, or in this case, qualify for Companion Pass. So I haven't personally done this yet. I am looking into it. I do think it's interesting. I shouldn't have any problem hitting the spending requirements on my own through personal and business. So I might not do it right this second. But if I ever get in a situation where I need to, quote unquote, manufacture some spending, this might be something to look at. You just have to be careful about how you do this, because supposedly with the different algorithms that a lot of these credit card companies have, if you just go and just buy, say, a $500 gift card randomly, that might seem kind of suspicious. They may flag it. But if you're going to the grocery store and you're buying groceries anyway, and you throw in, a $500, $100, $250, whatever gift card in there, it may be more likely to go through. Again, I've not personally experimented with this yet. I'm kind of in research mode. But for those of you that might be wanting to hit certain sign-up bonuses during the holidays, especially when there's a lot of gift card sales and promotions during the holidays, this might be something that you want to look into. I don't want to broadcast it here, but if you email the show, realtalkpersonalfinance@gmail.com, I can give you the name of the group and the name of the podcast, and you can listen to what they have to say in a lot more detail. They can probably explain it a lot better than I can and decide if it's something for you or not. So that's the second thing I wanted to talk about. Next, I want to talk about something I've heard about for a while. This is an online savings account, which we've talked about sort of many times on the show. But there's one out there that I've heard about. And I actually had a client who we were talking about high yield accounts one time, and he came back in when we had a follow-up, and he was telling me that he found a different one, and he was using them too. So I ended up looking into them, and there's a group out there called CIT Bank. And I recently opened a couple of accounts with them. They're currently offering 5.05% APY right now. Of course, that is always going to be subject to change, so keep that in mind. But I've been waiting for some of these other groups, and for those of you that are premium subscribers, I think I sent out a Cashflow Kings Favorites at one point several months ago with some different online promotions that were going on. I think it might have been over the summer for these different institutions and what they were offering, and what's good for business, what's good for trust, what's good for personal. So you may remember those documents. But CIT Bank, I had to check them out and decided to go ahead and open a couple of accounts with them. So it's still kind of brand new for us. I did open both a personal account and a trust account, and it's kind of nice on their interface where you can see them both together, listed and stacked right on top of each other. I will say that the website is a little bit clunky. So depending on, like, for example, there's one of the other institutions out there that we've used and that I still technically have a small balance with, that's very, very user-friendly. And if you're looking for the best user experience, you want something clean, easy to use, fast, I would still say go with them. But if you just want to park some money somewhere and you want to get a competitive rate, I'm sure there's higher ones out there. I was actually looking this morning. There was a couple I saw. One was like 5.15. A couple places that, quite frankly, I'd never heard of before, so I don't know how much I trust it. But CIT Bank is actually a division of First Citizens Bank and Trust Company. So, it's essentially their online arm. So it is a pretty well established, it's FDIC insured, all that good stuff. The thing that you want to keep in mind for this particular account, which is somewhat uncommon, a lot of these there's no minimum, but for CIT Bank, you need to have at least $5,000 that goes into that savings account in order to get the 5.05% APY. And it's called their Platinum Savings Account. I unfortunately asked them when I talked to them if they had any sort of referral program or anything like that. They don't. But you have to open it with at least $100. But again, you get a shit rate if you do. If you put at least $5,000 or more in there, you will get the 5.05% APY. At least that's what it is at the time of this recording. Obviously, it's subject to change. If you have under $5,000 in there, again, you get a shit rate, which is currently 0.25%. So it's only worth doing if you're going to park at least $5,000 in an account. Again, it is a little bit clunky, but they do have an app. It's not terrible, but it's just not the greatest. But if you're looking for a more competitive rate, I know we had some that were getting 4.25 and 4.40 and just wasn't quite keeping up and as competitive as I'd like it to be. I wanted to see something north of 5%. So decided to go with CIT Bank. For those of you that want to fuck with it, I know we have a couple listeners that do this. If you want to mess with Treasury Direct, you can still buy some T-bills, and you can get a little bit more than that currently on those, so you might want to do that instead. But for those of you that want something fairly simple, you want something that's liquid, you might consider CIT Bank. So you can check them out. Just go to CIT.com, and you can take a look at their Platinum Savings Account and decide if that's something that makes sense for you. I got an email from Spotify. This is the next topic, where they said that the number one show of 2023 for the Real Talk Personal Finance podcast was Pre-Tax versus Roth, featuring Cold Brew and Cube Crusher. So that was our most popular show. I actually reached out to Cold Brew and Cube Crusher and let them know about that, and they were happy to hear it. And Cold Brew actually texted me back and said, well, it sounds like we need to do a part 2. And maybe we will. Maybe we do. I'm not sure if we're going to do that or when we're going to do that, but apparently that was a really good episode. I think they said it was like either 121% or 124% listened to more than the average episode on the Real Talk Personal Finance podcast. That one was recorded, looks like back in February of this year. So if you want to go and check that out, let me see if I click on this here. I'm actually on the website right now for Buzzsprout, if it shows me the episode number, so I can give that to you really quick. Let's see, I should have had that coming in. Yeah, episode number 35. Episode 35, February of 2023. If you haven't checked that out, you may want to. Okay, 2 more things I want to talk about. Number 1, so the next topic here is votes for different guests. So you'll remember we've had multiple different guests on the show. We've had guests that we've tried to get on the show that for one reason or another have fallen through. But if there's a certain guest that you want to have back on the show with any sort of consistency, feel free, or even just as a one-time thing, feel free to email the show, realtalkpersonalfinance@gmail.com. And if you have been a past guest on the show, and I haven't specifically asked you to come back on the show just yet, and you would like to, feel free to let me know. You guys typically know how to get a hold of me, but if you want to shoot a quick email off, again, realtalkpersonalfinance@gmail.com. Hey guys, Cashflow King here real quick. I'm recording this after I recorded the show for episode 67. Just wanted to add this in there about voting for your favorite 2023 Real Talk Personal Finance podcast guest. So what I decided to do afterwards, I didn't think about this beforehand, is create a quick survey. It's literally a 1-question survey, multiple choice with 5 different choices on there for your favorite 2023 RTPF podcast guest. So if you don't want to email the show, and you certainly can, but if you don't want to, check the show notes. I'm going to try to put the link in the show notes. You should be able to click on that, and it should take you to that 1-question multiple choice survey. It's in one of the bullet points for the show notes. It says, vote for your favorite 2023 guest. Click here. So hopefully that works. please feel free to go ahead and cast your vote. Please note that these are the 2023 guests. We did have other guests that were on the show previously in 2022. I did not include those folks on the list, but certainly happy to have them back on the show. And if you don't see your favorite, again, email the show. But I just wanted to get a quick take on those that were on the show this year in 2023, who your favorite was. So of the 5, we have Cube Crusher, we have Cold Brew, Credit Union Cowboy, Equity Stacker, and the Rent Reverend. So feel free to click the link, cast your vote, and we will hopefully share some results with you as soon as we get some feedback coming in terms of the rankings there. And hopefully we can have many, if not all of them, back on in the future. So thanks for tuning in. Please feel free to click the link. If that doesn't work as originally instructed, just go ahead and email the show, realtalkpersonalfinance@gmail.com. Thanks. Speaking of deadlines and goals for 2024, I've decided to set a deadline. I've mentioned on previous shows that I am going to do an e-gift card giveaway for anybody that is a premium subscriber to the show. As I've also mentioned, our premium membership is now $3 per month through the end of the year. So if you sign up between now and the end of the year, you will only be paying $3 a month to support the show. You'll be a premium subscriber. You can check out the link in the show notes for all the different benefits you get. And I'm just doing this off the top of my head, but you're going to get the quarterly e-newsletter. You're going to have access to current and all the past premium episodes that we record that are locked, that are only available to premium subscribers. You'll get a special promo code for discounts on the Real Talk Personal Finance merch of 25% off. Our normal discount code is only 10% off. So we're trying to get that going out there. You're going to get a shout out on the upcoming podcast that we do after you subscribe. And then there'll be little perks here and there like I'm doing or about to do here in December for those that are subscribers, just to show our appreciation. We're going to do a random drawing for one of our premium members, and they're going to get an e-gift card. I haven't decided on the amount yet. I'd say it's going to be at least $25, and it could be as much as $100, depending on how I'm feeling that day. Depends on how those sports bets are going with Cube Crusher. No, I'm kidding. We'll do at least 25, maybe up to $100 for anybody that's a premium subscriber. So to be quite honest and perfectly blunt and frank, we don't have a ton of premium subscribers. We're trying to get those numbers up, and we really do appreciate everybody's support. That is one of the ways that we pay for the show and keep the show going. As I've said before, we do have to pay a monthly fee to Buzzsprout to continue to host the show and continue to make all the previous shows available for listeners. So we try to, encourage people to help support the show and try to give you a little bit back and a little bit extra in that format. Again, goes towards equipment, things like that. It's not like we're going to Vegas with the money, at least just yet. Although speaking of Vegas, I will be out there again in mid-January. So if anybody wants to meet up out in Las Vegas, feel free to email the show, realtalkpersonalfinance@gmail.com. Okay, so let's see. And then the last thing, I mentioned on the last show that I was going to do this probably middle to end of December. I've decided to set a deadline. That's where I was going with this. The deadline is going to be next Sunday, December 17th. So whoever is a premium subscriber on December 17th, 2023, or if you've been one up until then, those are the folks that are going to be entered into the little drawing for an e-gift card, and then we'll make that announcement shortly after that. I just kind of want to get this to them before Christmas, so I figured that would be a good cutoff day. We'll probably go ahead and pull the list on the 17th and then do the drawing and hopefully make the announcement the week of the 18th is what I'm planning on doing. The $3 per month will still be good through the end of the year, but just to be clear, if you subscribe after December 17th of 2023, you won't be in the drawing for the e-gift card that we're doing here in December. So we certainly appreciate your support. If you're listening to this after December 17th, please don't let that discourage you. I'm sure we'll be doing fun things like this hopefully throughout 2024 as hopefully our premium membership grows and there's a little bit more money coming in. It will allow us to give a little bit more back to everybody and just have some fun with it. And, we really, truly appreciate everybody that is a premium subscriber. It really does mean the world to us. And I can tell you that I would rather get an email to the show that says so-and-so subscribed for $3 a month than I would getting any other email that says, like, you just got a huge deposit in your account or whatever. Like, I don't give a shit about that. The $3 a month is more exciting to me because we're trying to build this up. We're not making millions off of it. We would like to make a few dollars off of it and throw it back into the show, but those are really, really exciting. So if you're listening to this and you're on the fence and you're feeling, generous and you're in the holiday spirit, feel free to go ahead, check the show notes, click on the link to become a premium subscriber. It's $3 a month, for crying out loud. What the hell are you going to get for $3 a month except some great education, some entertainment, and just making the Cash Flow King happy, right? So we appreciate it. All right, well, that is pretty much what I have for today on the Random Quick Topics show. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to the show. That's all I got for now. We'll be back in touch pretty soon, again, right after the 17th at the minimum, to announce the winner. And if there's any topics that come up between now and then that are worthy of having their own full episode, we'll be sure to record and put that out. And then again, going into 2024, the plan is to have more consistency, and I'm hoping to put out a once per week show starting in January of 2024. So if you can help us make that happen by giving your feedback for guests, giving your feedback for topics, and if you want to be on the show, especially if you've been a previous guest, feel free to email the show. We do get a lot of solicitations, different places that will email us and tell us about, so-and-so that wants to come on your show, and, what their credentials are and how much experience and success they've had and all this bullshit. Quite frankly, this show, in my opinion, we are not attempting to bring on the biggest, baddest guests out there, right? That's just not the intention. The intention is to have some people that are real investors, some folks like myself that really do work in the financial services industry, that are licensed and credentialed, and to have some fun with this. We're not trying to go out and get the biggest names out there. We just want to build our own little small community for shits and grins that you can pop us on at the gym, you can pop us on in your car, you can have a couple laughs, you can be like, Cash Flow King's a fucking moron, whatever, right? Or, Cube Crusher is just crazy, or whatever you want to think or say, and we want to put a smile on your face. That's the goal of the show, and we also want to educate you, right? So help us do that. Consider becoming premium. Continue to listen to the show. Even if you don't become premium, feel free to share the show with a friend, with a family member, with a coworker, whomever. If you feel like we've earned it, as always, feel free to leave a 5-star review. We love the ratings and reviews, so feel free to go ahead and put that out there as well if you'd be so kind. And that's all I got. So thanks again for tuning in. This has been episode 67 on Random Quick Topics. We will see you in the next episode.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.